Hi there, this is Karen STEVER and I'm here at thepublicrecord.com. I've been hosting the STEVER's Public Playground Project, which is a collaborative effort between me and anybody in the world who wants to participate. We're just nicely in phase 1 of this project, which is just lyrics, just at the lyric portion. If you're just tuning in now, I encourage you to go back and look at a few of the other videos so as not to bore the community here and I don't repeat myself with people who have already been tuning in. I'm just going to show you some of the lyrics where I'm at today. And show you also just kind of how I'm going to do some recording stuff. Alright, I'll just put my camera on so you can see. So, working title is Public Playground, and I thought we'd start with a spoken word from Roosevelt's speech. Maybe get a male voiceover to do that, but we'll talk about that a little later because we're just working on drums this week. So A is for Abby, B is for Betsy, hand in hand in the dirt they stand, forgotten, lost, and rusty. C is for Charlie, and D is for Denny, back to protect their backs, the rope burn spelled out Daddy. E is for Eddie, and F is for Freddie, head to head for a crust of bread that's rotten, old, and dusty. G is for Gracie, and H is for Henny, armed in arm to protect their hearts, the fire killed their memory. These are kids who are lost, neglected, abused, but they find each other, and yet they're still standing there kind of lost or dysfunctional on the playground. This leads to me sitting in a sandbox, just pushing pebbles around. That's my own perspective of where to fit in. I'm watching it all, and since doing the Playground Isolator record, I've been trying to figure out a way to make it all come together too. Just, where do I fit into this? How can I assist in bridging the gap between people? So it's a very direct personal thing, this entire experience for me. And then crystal diamonds, if held with care, will start to sparkle when polished to a gem. They're homeless drifters, 1 foot ensnared. Still they play rock, paper, scissors, and everyone wins. So it's kind of like it's dysfunctional, but they're finding each other. I see this, in chat rooms and on social networks and everywhere. It's just it's kind of like the misery loves company. We kind of find each other, but then there's still a certain amount of dysfunction going on because we haven't, gotten back to the playground yet. So then that leads to the bullies who come in. But these bullies are also abused, and they're also neglected, and a lot of them are lost as well. But whatever has happened to them, that kind of form of abuse based on, whatever's happened plus their personality, makes them mischievous, makes them thieves, makes them bullies where they pick on people and do terrifying things. So I made this verse. It starts off, J is for Jenny, K is for Katie. Copycat curls, mischievous girls, monkey shines on their nanny. Monkey shines, it's like, playing pranks. I just like that whole phrase is awesome. Monkey shines. L is for Lucy, M is for Millie. Siamese thieves, traveling freaks, slaving for the ringlies. Ringlies, I sometimes will like to take a word like the ringlings, and I just slang it, much like the carnival people are carnies, So I just gave it a slang, just for fun. And N is for Nettie, and O is for Ollie. Programmed ghouls, schooled to be cruel, terrify them nightly. So those are kind of the bullies there. And then it said, I have a line about P is for Polly, poor penniless, pine cone picking Polly. Four-eyed lass, coke bottom glass, scared and treading lightly. This is, the girl that's, you can imagine she's just this nerdy looking girl that's, doesn't fit in anywhere on that playground, and she's kind of getting picked on. That scared and treading lightly is a direct reference to walking on eggshells, which is what Matt had talked about, And then there's Q, this queen without a face. I'm saving her place at the end of my seesaw. That's a missing child. And I think there's always a need for outreach in our world where there's always somebody that we can be bringing to the playground. And then I had mentioned the chorus yesterday. That's the return to creativity. And everyone is allowed to play there, and everyone's allowed to be there, and it's kind of our right that we should all be allowed to have the freedom to play and express ourselves and be creative. And we should be allowed to take risks, and we should be allowed to escape our own hell, and we shouldn't have to tread on those eggshells anymore. We should have that freedom. So that's what that whole chorus that I had mentioned yesterday. Sorry, here it is. It's hard. I'm either reading on the paper or reading through the screen. And then these are the angels or the people who come into our lives that just make things better. So I have a couple groups of kids here. R is for Rhodey and S is for Sophie. Share their bears, teddy bears in the middle of the panic. And T is for Tilly and U is for Ollie. Sweets and treats and the butterfly weeds and the cubs all picnicked while we clashed our bones, leading into this chorus. those are like, these are the angels in the middle of the panic. They share their toys, they share their food, they share love, and they instill a camaraderie between children. And I have known so many people like that in my life that, you know, there's this craziness going on between left and right, and then these people, these angels just come in and just, you know, make it better. So it's really awesome. So when it leads to while we clash our bones like pickup sticks, that's that Joseph Bruno reference I mentioned about us all having skeletons in the closet. But it's nice that we're taking that step to do something about it, where I said we clash our bones like pickup sticks, we left our closet, we did something about it, so we're taking that step. And it woke the spirit who flattened fences and put the scissors in the hands of the defenseless. That is, it woke the spirit. That line is all about when we take that first step to doing something about our baggage and our abuse and all that stuff, it wakes the spirit of creativity. At least it did for me. And that's very personal that, you know, that I was able to get back on the playground because I took that first step. And so back to the scissors that I mentioned in the chorus, you know, running with scissors, that spirit gives us our creativity back and puts the scissors back, and then that we can take those risks. So I think that's where I was going with that. But then after the whole victims, bullies, light workers thing, I came up with an additional type of person, and that is the inventors and the creators. And these are the people who, they might be a musician, they might be an artist, they might be inventors, but they're people who are just really reaching their own inner child and inspiring the rest of us and feel like they give us a purpose. And I've got so many artistic people in my life that do that. So Vic and Waddy held their vacuum tubes. They had no obvious use but brought laughter to the masses. Xavier and Yeti dropped their ball, a 700-pound drop, and ending to the madness. Those are two historical references that I'll talk about in a second here, okay? And then I ended with a line, missing child. Then there's Z. Z has broke his crown, or his, you know, his head, or his mind, or his heart. I'm sure he'll come around to the edge of our playground, and that is the reminder that outreach is still needed for the playground to grow. So I want to talk about a couple of these 1907 references that I have in here. There's several things throughout here that you can see that have happened. There was a banker's panic. I saw an illustration of a teddy bear commanding the two big bears to attack Wall Street. The Ringling Brothers' greatest show on earth bought Barnum and Bailey that year. The Cubs beat the Tigers in the World Series. A lot of bear references, right? And for the first time, the ball dropped at New York's Times Square to signal the end of 1907. The Teddy Bears Picnic song was written that year. The MacPhail Center for Music has grown to become a passionate organization at the forefront of music education and appreciation for the arts, and a leader in the music therapy, which is still around today. One of these organizations that's gone over 100 years. In 1907, the radio tube triode was made by Lee DeForest, which, you know, is the amplification, and then the helicopter was also made. So those are kind of some of the references that happened that year. So I'm going to go and lay down a vocal for you guys, and that will be already in the session for you for Monday night. All right, rock on!